Okay, let's just jump right in with a pretty big question, one you've probably kicked around in your head before. Can you actually buy a true friend? I mean, it sounds like something straight out of a sci fi movie, right? But believe it or not, tech companies are trying to answer that exact question. And their answer, well, it might just surprise you. Let's dig in.
And why are they trying? Well, because the market for an answer is absolutely massive. Think about it. We're living in this world that's more digitally connected than ever, but here's the crazy part. A shocking number of us feel completely and utterly alone. And this isn't just, a bad mood. It's a full-blown public health crisis. And that sets the stage for some, let's just say, interesting and sometimes pretty strange solutions. And that's exactly what we're going to get into here. We're going to break down this really fascinating, kind of weird new trend by zooming in on one specific product. A product that promised to solve loneliness for good, but in the process, it ended up raising some huge questions about what connection even means in this digital age.
So, to really get why a company would even think about trying to sell friendship in a box, we've got to understand the landscape. This isn't some small niche problem we're talking about. No, this is a modern epidemic, and it comes with a very, very high price.
I mean, just think about it for a second. We've got these endless feeds, right? Instant messages, global networks right in our pockets. And yet, that feeling of genuine, real connection, it's becoming harder and harder to find. And it's that paradox, that deep human need for belonging and an age of kind of superficial clicks, that creates the perfect opening for tech to swoop in and say, hey, don't worry, I can fix this for you.
And that leads us right to our main case study, a shiny, techie solution for what is, when you get right down to it, a deeply human problem. So let's meet the AI friend. Okay, so the concept, it was sleek, it was simple, and honestly, it was pretty seductive. What we're talking about is an AI-powered necklace, a wearable device that's supposed to be your ambient companion. It was marketed directly at that feeling of being alone, promising to be the one friend who would always be there, no questions asked. And just listen to the marketing language they used. It really pulls at the heartstrings, doesn't it? They weren't just selling a gadget, they were selling the end of isolation, the perfect companion, a friend who is always there to listen. I mean, that's a powerful, almost utopian promise. But what happens when a promise like that crashes into the real world? Well, that is exactly where this story takes a very sharp turn. Because that utopian promise, it was met with a, let's just say, a very dystopian reality. The hype created a massive, and I mean immediate, backlash. And the contrast here is just staggering. On one side, you have the promise, right? A solution to loneliness, your perfect companion, a totally revolutionary device. But then you look at the reality, widespread public backlash. People were calling it a symptom of the problem, not a solution. And maybe the most damning criticism of all, it was widely accused of being something called vaporware. So what in the world is vaporware? It's a great term. It's basically tech speak for a product that is all smoke and mirrors. It gets announced, it's hyped up, it gets a ton of press, but it never actually gets made. So critics weren't just skeptical of the idea here. They were skeptical that a real functional product even existed at all. And this whole smoke and mirrors thing, it's actually way bigger than just one necklace. It's the perfect way for us to talk about this growing trend in startup culture, a whole phenomenon that puts style way, way ahead of substance. We're calling it vibe coding. Okay, so this is the key takeaway. Vibe coding, what is it? It's this trend where a company focuses everything on the feeling, the aesthetic, the brand, the hype, all that stuff. The actual engineering, the functionality, the nuts and bolts of making the thing work, well, that comes later. Or maybe it doesn't. It's all about selling the idea of a product, not the product itself. And this isn't just happening by accident. There's almost a cynical playbook for it. This trend has gotten so common because, honestly, in today's venture capital world, the perception of success can be just as valuable as the real thing. So step 1, find a deep human need. Step 2, build a slick brand to generate maximum hype. Step 3, snag a super flashy domain name to look legit. And step 4, worry about the hard part, actually building the thing sometime down the road. And that third step, the expensive domain name, oh boy. This brings us to the single most revealing, most telling detail in this entire story. The one fact that just perfectly captures what this vibe coding mindset is all about. $1.8 million. Seriously, just let that number sink in for a second.
what was that for? That was the price the founders reportedly spent on their URL, on their website address. I mean, just think about that. While critics are out there wondering if the device even works, the company is dropping nearly $2 million on a domain name. It is the absolute textbook definition of prioritizing the vibe over the substance.
So all of this brings us right back to where we started. It brings us full circle, back to the big question that this whole strange saga really forces us to ask.
Is a product like this really a solution to loneliness? Or is the very fact that it even exists, that it was dreamed up and hyped up, is that just a symptom of how disconnected we've all become?
When you get right down to it, this whole friend necklace story shows us a huge paradox in our modern world. Sometimes the very tech that promises to solve our disconnection actually just makes it worse. By prioritizing the illusion of connection, the slick branding, the perfect vibe, over the messy, difficult, but totally essential reality of it, we risk drifting even further apart from each other.
So it leaves us with this final thought. When we start coding for vibes, do we end up losing the very connection we were looking for in the first place? The next time you see some slick, new product promising to solve a deep human need, it's probably worth asking yourself, are they selling a real solution or just a really, really good vibe? And maybe more importantly, which one are we actually buying?